Love where you at, where my people at. I'm at where you at, where my people at. I need you to help me on this mission. Yeah, this is for my brothers trapped in religion. Open up your eyes, break out of the prison. This is for my brothers trapped in religion. sa.neter be the truth, you know he's on a mission. It's sad to see my brothers all so lost. It's sad to see you believe in things that's false. It's sad to see you believe in Jesus, where your logic breaks apart in 1,000 pieces. Oh, God killer, not gonna let that slide. You drowning in a myth, you had nowhere to hide. The HOK is the toughest environment. While we trade blind faith for mental empowerment. I believe in scriptures for your mind, this is the key. It's time to unlearn everything you believe. The house of consciousness, start looking within. That's where the real liberation begins. Oh, this is for my brothers trapped in religion. Open up your eyes, break out of that prison. This is for my brother trapped in religion. sa.neter be the truth, you know he's on a mission. The HOK is more than just a place. It's a tough environment where you check your faith. Bomb squad and pseudo killers who check your sources. Don't come in front cause you will live for losses. The Bible written to break your spirit, built to keep you low, feeding you metaphors, stopping your growth. These is for my brothers trapped in religion. sa.neter be the truth, you know he's on a mission. It's sad to see my brothers all so lost. It's sad to see you believe in things that's false. It's sad to see you believe in Jesus, while your logic breaks apart in 1,000 pieces.
When this video is live, I want you to play that section.
Right,
because he is now making it sound like something other than what actually happened. And maybe I'm gonna give him credit. I'm gonna give him credit for a second, because it's possible he doesn't remember all of it.
Hold it like this. I do remember. I
You just said you was right.
Just squeeze it
on your point.
No, I said you was right on your
Go
point.
right off.
I said you was right on your point, bro. There you go.
I mean, that's what he's doing.
I said you was right on your point.
No, he said we're both right. It's not possible.
We're both right, 'cause my
it's not possible.
Can you just what's the word? When you put stuff in different compartments.
Compartmentalize?
Can you do that for one moment, yo? There was an argument over the word confluence. You said no, and I gave my definition. I'm saying, nigga, I was right. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. I'm saying my definition was right.
They had a
This is crazy.
Listen. Now, I'm thinking you responding to me. Look, hold on. I'm thinking you responding to me based off my definition. You saying, nah, you responding to me based off not the word confluence, but something else, right? Is that what you're saying?
I read the quote to you again, and he still said that the author was not saying what it said.
You was
and then I said, is it that you don't understand what he means by confluence? He said, yes, of course I understand. Right. I said, what's the definition? And then he gave, in this context, the wrong definition.
Okay, but I agree.
But he's making it sound like we were just talking about the word confluence. We were not.
Okay,
we were talking about a quote.
So now I'm gonna ask you: is my definition right outside of?
Put your face. I'm gonna read the quote. Here's the quote.
Go ahead.
Here we go. Okay, here we go.
What you got?
The most recent generation of scholars and scholarship on Nubia and Egypt have been uncovering extensive new bodies of evidence. And they are casting aside the older assumptions and following where the evidence leads. The older ideas do linger on, though, and scholars from other fields of study, not versed in the newer findings, this is what we were saying earlier, and older Egyptologists as well, may still presume those views. There is, for example, a recent genetics article proposing the ancient Egyptians were of Levantine background. By the way, I critiqued that study on sa.neter before this book came out. But those findings come from a solitary northern late ancient Egyptian locale, a site dating to more than 2,000 years after the foundational period of ancient Egypt, and located in an area of Egypt that had, by that time, a history of more than 1,000 years of recurrent immigration of individuals and communities from the Levant into Egypt. These immigrants included, among others, communities of artisans and producers of valued goods, settlements encouraged by the rulers of Egypt. The military invasion of the Hyksos, coming from the Levant in the 17th century BCE, and their rule for more than a century over large parts of northern Egypt, would also have brought an additional genetic component of Levantine background into those northern Egyptian regions. The level of disconnect between the proposals made in this particular genetics article and the actual history of ancient Egyptian populations is the same as if one examined DNA from human remains in a late 19th century cemetery in South Boston, Massachusetts, and concluded from a localized time-bound sample that Americans are basically of Irish descent and that the founders of the United States of the 18th century would have been primarily Irish too. In any case, the geographical setting of the foundational developments of ancient Egyptian history, in fact, lay in lands, well, you know, nobody's listening except y'all at home. They all talking about fish right now. And then we're gonna have an argument over something that I'm actually reading.
No, I'm listening.
In any case, the geographical setting of the foundational developments of ancient Egyptian history, in fact, lay in lands well south of the single late northern site considered in the genetics article. These lands extend from several hundred kilometers south of the confluence of the White Nile and the Abai
All right, stop right there.
rivers northward to the archaeological sites around El Badari in Middle Egypt, 15,000 kilometers further south. Now, I want to be really clear.
Yeah, I'm right there.
I want to be really clear
What do you
here.
think they're saying?
The
That's
quote is very clearly talking about the confluence of rivers. He literally says, these lands extend from several hundred kilometers south of the confluence of the White Nile and the Abai.
Yeah.
That is what he says.
Yeah, but you.
And when I read it twice, and Ankh did not understand,
Right now, I don't agree with it.
it was clear, it doesn't matter whether he agrees or not. The reality is that he was saying that the author was not saying what I was saying. And I said, how in the world could you say that when I read the quote? I read it twice. He said if he wasn't listening to it the first time, okay. When I read it the second time, and he still said that he did that, that's not what the author said. That is when I said, well, Ankh, is it that you disagree with do you not understand what the word confluence in this context means?
Tone it down, man.
And the reality is that he very clearly says, from several hundred kilometers south of the confluence of the White Nile and the Abai, or Blue Nile. So very clearly, we're talking about the confluence of rivers. In that video, Ankh did not understand that.
Okay, so let me tell you, I'm going to read it again. Now this is my turn now.
Let's deal with a different topic.
No, we won't.
I don't know why we're still on this topic.
Right.
I really don't.
No, you got yours off. You was right here, right? Here you go. Let's start right here. This is how he think it's just simply talking about the area of confluence. I'm saying this man is not simply talking about the area of confluence, right? And we know this because he says this. He says, in any case, the geographical setting of the foundational developments of ancient Egyptian history, in fact, lay in the lands well south of the single late northern site considered in the geographical article, in the genetic article. It says, these lands extend. So now he's saying that there's I forget, what's the name of the site where they did the genetic article at? Yo, I forget the name. What's the name?
I don't remember the name of the city right now either.
Jabari,
I don't remember the name of the city right now
Okay,
either.
don't worry about it.
I don't. I can pull up the genetics article.
Jabari like to get y'all stuck.
No, we good.
Show y'all don't know what y'all talking about.
Man, look.
No, to be honest, I don't remember the name of the site off the top of my head.
So what I'm saying, at this point, he's saying that where the site is close to the delta. That's what he did the genetic study, right? Underneath of the delta, right? And he's saying that the actual, the start of the community, right, lay well south of that area. So we're south of that area. Up in Egypt, it's well south of that area. So he's actually talking about up in Egypt, the areas you was talking about, and he said it also extends, right, past the area of confluence. So it's including those three areas. You would know that, Jabari, if you read the whole thing.
Wait, what's the last thing you said?
I said, I'm gonna finish what I said. There you go.
Because he's putting some stuff into the quote that ain't there. I mean, what is he doing?
It says,
why are you doing this to yourself, Ankh?
It says, in any case,
oh my goodness,
the geographical setting of the foundational developments of ancient Egyptian history, in fact, lay in the lands well south of the single late northern site considered in the genetic article. It says these lands extend from several hundred kilometers. We know what several hundred kilometers is, right? South of the confluence of the White Nile and the Abai or Blue Nile. Abai rivers. It's a northward to the archaeological site around El Jabari in Middle Egypt. 1,500 kilometers farther north. So that's the sites he's talking about. So he's talking about the site that you're talking about and also talking about the shit I'm trying to tell you.
Not at all.
See, he can't read.
Not at all.
Now I know he can't read.
Not at all.
Where's El Jabari?
Not at all.
Turn your mic back on.
Not at all.
Where's El Jabari? It is.
Save some of that. Save your food.
I am.
By the way, it's not El Jabari.
All right, how you? El Jabari?
You thinking about the bars? What are you talking about?
How you say it? El Jabari? How you say it? How you say it? Mr. Professor? You the professor, nigga? Shit, don't get mad.
When he has to ask me how to say a term.
It means that he's a professor, he got a degree. Don't get mad, use your degree at this point.
What this means,
I'm not mad at
is
you
he's
for having a degree.
unfamiliar with the
That's not true.
with the information.
Okay, well, guess what? For a human being that can read, right? That's talking about the Upper Nile, the area that extends a few kilometers below the area of confluence, right? All those areas is what he's talking about. If you read the whole chapter, you would see that, bro. Right there, he's saying that. That's where I disagree with you at, bro. And I still do. Yeah, you should read this again.
Folks,
yeah, don't folks me.
The
He's talking
video
about all
was
those
that,
areas.
You know what he's going to make me do?
No, we're talking about right now.
He's going to make me clip what he just said and show you what he actually said.
No, that's what
because this dude, is he microdosing something or something? I don't know what you're doing right now. What are you doing?
I think you.
That is not what the conversation was about.
Did you smoke some weed?
He continues to shift the. He took the goalpost.
You did come and smell like weed.
He
though,
took
Jabari.
in.
So I'm not
he
the one.
took a jackhammer, jackhammered the goalpost in front of the whole audience, got a flatbed truck, and took the goalpost to another another state
wait,
and said,
so-
"See, here we go."
Hey, bro.
That is not what the
Let's
conversation
deal with the
was.
other topic.
Jabari. No. El Jabari, Middle Egypt, bro. Do y'all know what that
Jabari.
said? Look it up. Look it up. El Badari.
Oh,
Badari.
you just putting consonants in places they don't exist.
Hold on. So where's El Jabari located? Is El Jabari located, believe, below the area of confluence of those two rivers or above it? It's in the middle now. What are we talking about here? That's why I got you, right? Because you're not including that. So it's including Jabari,
the argument
or
that
Badari.
the argument
that was my argument.
The argument that Ankh was
All right, I'm
making,
off
that
of
you
it. Y'all
will
heard-
see
no,
on the
y'all heard
video,
me. Y'all
that
heard
you'll
me.
see on the video,
I said it didn't say what you said,
is
just
that
like right now.
ancient Kemet. He was even making this same crazy argument a moment ago, and you heard him make it.
What's that?
All right.
That
come on,
ancient
let's-
Kemet is the product of Africa,
I didn't say that.
of Europe,
This man is
and of Asia.
I didn't tell you no bullshit like
He's
that.
trying to make it sound. He was talking about the confluence of these continents,
This is crazy.
these regions.
He
continues to say that.
Flim right now. I tell you what,
And Christopher Everett is not saying that.
Yo, gaslighting.
Christopher Everett
He's
is
actually
saying.
gaslighting right now.
Maybe you should listen for a second.
no, you gaslight,
Christopher
yo.
Everett
That's what the
is
youngsters
very-
say you gaslight.
Christopher Everett is
You got to
very.
be gaslighting.
Let him go. Let him go.
Hold on, dog. I
Everett.
never said it.
Christopher Everett. Christopher Everett. One of the reasons why he might make mistakes is because he doesn't like to listen to me.
Yeah,
He gets frustrated by
Now,
the
when
way
you-
I talk.
Yeah,
I know this already.
A little bit.
We've worked
A
together
little
for
bit.
years.
A
I
little
already know that Ankh gets angry. Then after he gets really upset, he's like, "Why you think you can talk to me like that? I'm a read like anybody else." I know he gets really angry after a while. He's not going to do it today because we're together. And the reality is, you know, the funny thing, Ankh and Jabari agree on 85% of all information in the entire
That's
world.
a lie.
We only argue.
That's a lie, there.
We only argue about the 15%.
I don't think you can talk to mummies,
We
bro.
only
I don't think you talk to
argue.
mummies.
I never said I talked to mummies. We only argue.
You never said the
I
ancestors talked to
never
you?
said I talked to mummies.
All right, my fault. Go ahead, man.
I
Go ahead.
never said I
All
talked
right,
to
go
mummies.
ahead. Go ahead, my fault.
I never said that.
Did you hear the mummy talk?
I never said that. I never said it.
Come on,
So I want to be really clear that one of the reasons why, there are two reasons why Ankh gets frustrated with
All
me.
right, go ahead. I ain't mad
First of
at
all, he
you.
continually says I'm an academic. Like I'm not a brother that live in the hood, just like he a brother.
No, you're not. You're an academic.
Like,
Live in
like
college.
he's a brother. I just started working at
See,
Hunter
I took you off the track.
3 years ago. He knew me
back to what you
before
were
that.
saying,
He
Jabari.
knew me before I taught at
You
Hunter.
were saying something.
You were saying something, bro. I got you.
No.
Go ahead,
Because
Jabari.
because what I want to do is now extrapolate why we continue to be in these places.
Right.
And that's what I'm really saying.
All right, go ahead.
He gets frustrated by me.
All right, go ahead.
And you know, to be very honest, I'm gonna be really honest now. When I
Yeah.
see him getting frustrated, I pour it on because I know he's gonna get more frustrated.
I do the same thing.
All right, so Jabari.
That's the reality.
My turn.
Yeah.
But
Switch this.
but he
We're
gets
gonna switch
really
No,
he
the
gets
conversation is
really
great.
he gets
not-
frustrated for two reasons. He gets frustrated because he views me as an academic, a dude with degrees.
Yeah, I
and he
expect
also
much.
gets frustrated because I'm also a person that engages in a spiritual
pseudoisms.
tradition.
And pseudoisms.
And so he would like to call my spiritual tradition
It is.
pseudoism.
It is.
That's what he'd like to do. And he's entitled to saying that. He's entitled to his opinion. I'm not, you know, but the reality is I'm not coming up into his platforms talking about atheists. He's the one with his buddies that would like to actually misrepresent what I've said. Just like he said I talked to mummies.
I thought he
They
did.
like to misrepresent what I said
That man did.
and then argue at the misrepresentation.
What did you say?
And the funny thing is, when I am actually on sa.neter,
Did you hear the mummy?
For the most part, I am talking as a historian. I don't get on here chanting or showing people how to build
you
altars
chant?
or do divination or do any of that on sa.neter.
Oh, all right.
The reality is when I come here primarily as a historian. In fact, some people assume that what they see is what the Shrine of Ma'at must be. It's not the same thing.
All right, so let me
It's
ask
my
you-
turn. No, I want to make
right,
my
go ahead,
point.
go ahead, go ahead.
This man gaslighted me. Everybody know I never said that Egypt was made up from Europe, the Middle East. I never said that. I was giving him a definition of confluence. I never said that. He made that up. See, he gaslight. He said that. See, that's why I get mad at Jabari. Because he did that little thing he just did, made it up, and gaslight and talk for 25 seconds longer than he need to. Right there. It's that piece. That's why we say that. He's on purpose. See, he's an academic. He know better. He know I've never said that. Matter of fact, he think that I say the same thing Jabari say. I've been calling the Egyptians, my fight with the community was the Egyptians was African. Indigenous Africans, homegrown Africans, and I could prove every aspect of what I was talking about. He was the one sliding over to the European colonialism, talking about they black people. How, nigga, they ain't black? Before white people called them black. In their land, they call themselves based off their topography, right? The land itself is a toponym. You feel me? They name their land after a toponym, a geographical feature, right? Them people never look at each other and say, hey, you looking mighty black there, bro. They never did that. That's African-American style. That's where you get into trouble because you know that race is a social construct and Nile Valley indigenous Africans never presented that social construct. Diop's did, but well, hell, whatever word was he going to use back then?
What did he base it on? What was his argument about the ancient Kemetic idea of race based on?
Actually.
Was it based on the site?
No, I'm talking. Actually, he did a great job, Diop's did, right? But he overwhooped on some things on the Wolof. He overdid it. But they recognized that you need to study African indigenous languages to understand Kemet. So the thing that made him great was he brought interdisciplinary study to the field. That's what really made him great. That's what got him in that museum, right? And that he said he stood by the fact that regardless if he called them black Africans, which is not synonymous with Africa, right? Regardless that he said they was an indigenous African population. I've stood on that from day one. You slid into it talking about the black people. That's not what you would say at Hunter's College when you're talking to your students, brother. That's all I'm saying.
It's Hunter College, not Hunter's College.
Hunter's College for you.
It's not Hunter's College.
You hunting pseudo.
It's Hunter College.
Now, hold on. I'm gonna close it out. I want to know. You did say you talked to the mummy. You said I heard the mummy, and it said. You didn't say that you heard the mummy?
No, I did not say that.
The ancestors didn't talk through the mummy?
I did not say that.
I got that clip.
I did not say that.
Don't jump in something.
Listen, sometimes
he
he and Garfield talk amongst each other for long enough. Hold on. They talked amongst each other long enough, and there's an echo chamber. So they have assumed that I said something that I did not say.
I know, help me out. Just tell me what it was.
I did not say. I'm not even going there right now.
You better not.
What I am saying is this. Because I want to stick with the topic and finish the topic.
Let's stay with the topic.
The reality is that one of the things that Ankh was trying to do
go ahead, bro.
is something that I think was extremely disingenuous.
And what's that? When about the talking mummy?
And in terms of the manner in which he tried to insult people who were arguing that the ancient Kemetic people were black. He said those aren't terms that existed.
Did it?
It's so funny because he clearly says the Egyptian people weren't black. Egypt wasn't a term that existed at the time we're talking about either. We are trying to make a very clear designation about something.
False equivalency there, buddy.
And you're just interrupting. I wish he would listen more and speak less.
You're right.
So one of the challenges that we have is that he was trying to make an argument saying that we could not call the Kemetic people black because they didn't use that term. By the way, that's not entirely true. We do know that the Kemetic people do call themselves black on several occasions, but I would actually have to say to you that it was not the prevalent description of themselves. It was not the prevalent description of themselves. This is true. But clearly they made distinctions about their skin and the skin of other peoples. What I would ask, when you heard me ask Ankh a moment ago if Diop was making the argument about race based on a particular site, and I asked him what it was, I wanted him to answer that question.
What's the question?
I know he doesn't know it off the top of his head.
I might. What's the question?
And now he hasn't said to ask it again because he wasn't listening.
I was listening.
So this is a constant problem.
I was listening.
His argument.
Hold up, say it again.
So I asked Ankh, did Diop make part of his argument based on a site? Based on something that was material that could be analyzed even today.
Yeah, the skulls.
And I know that he did not know.
I just told
what
you.
he was referring to.
He was looking at the skulls, Jabari.
What's the, on the inside of the cover of the book that you purport to have read?
What?
That you purport to have read.
Wait a minute.
Can I ask you what's on the inside of the cover? There's an image on the inside of the cover that feeds the rest of his argument. For those of you at home, go get the book, The African Origins of Civilization.
A skull.
No, it was not a skull.
All right, then, nigga, that's a crazy
It was not a
question.
skull.
What's in the inside of
It was
the book?
not a
Which
skull.
edition, Jabari?
And the other reason
Which
why I would
edition,
say
Jabari?
that, it doesn't matter what edition, it's in all the editions.
Oh, so what is it, though? Can you tell
the
us?
thing, I'm about to.
What was my answer right
The
about the
reason
skull?
why
though?
I
We made
was
this
going
determination
to
off of
say,
Negro
the
skulls?
reason why I was saying that to him
Thought not.
is because it's a site I've also looked at myself. I've seen the site, right? When Diop made his argument, it was based on a drawing that someone made of a particular site. This site is the tomb of Seti the First. And
Oh,
it
you talking about
comes
that
from
thing
the
he did?
Book of Gates.
Oh, is that what you're talking about?
So very clearly,
You just made that. That's not
very
there.
clear-
I challenge
it's
you on
not
that. That's
there.
not there. You made that up.
Okay,
now.
it's not there.
Yeah, I don't believe it to be there. You tripping
Not there.
now.
Do you have a copy of the book, sa.neter?
No, I'll look it
Of
up.
Sheikh Anta Diop's African Origin of
Yeah,
Civilization?
I don't think it's right there. That's in his book, though.
See, when we have these conversations and I'm not in my library, anyway.
I didn't want to challenge you. Go
Please
ahead. You could be
understand
right.
that
You could be right. You could be
that
right.
site very
You could be right.
clearly, that site very clearly shows that the ancient Kemetic people in the 19th dynasty
Mm-hmm.
were aware of the very different ways that people looked, and they seemed to categorize people based on the way they looked.
Okay.
Am I saying that they actually said we're black and they're white? No, that's not what I'm saying.
You sure?
That's not what I'm saying. But for Ankh to put the onus of this discussion as to whether the ancient Kemetic people were black on the Afrocentric scholars is disingenuous, because the only reason why we're even having this conversation is because millions of dollars and hundreds of years were spent by Western scholars saying that they weren't black.
Yeah.
And so that was what they attempted to do. When we respond, he makes it seem like we're responding out of the blue for something that doesn't make sense.
I never said that.
The reality is that if we were going to look at the ancient Kemetic people, according to our understanding of race today, we would clearly say that the proprietors of that civilization, I'm not talking about every person that lived within its borders. That would be a ridiculous argument when you're talking about millions of people over the course of 3,000 years. But the proprietors of that civilization were people that we would consider black today. And in fact, in the last time that Ankh and I talked about this, I asked him, I'm going to ask him again,
Yes.
and I know he's not going to have an answer again because he did not listen to me, and he did not even, see, when I have a conversation with someone and they ask me something, the first thing I do is I go back and say, is what they said made sense? I will spend some time. sa.neter will tell you this, by the way. Sometimes after a conversation, I will call him and talk about the conversation because I'm reading what the people have said. Okay. I know that he didn't do that.
I didn't do what?
I know he didn't.
Didn't
so
do
here's what I asked him.
I didn't do what?
Here's what I asked you. You're on the hot seat.
All right, I don't mind, because I'm going to get you.
So I asked
Definitely
him
got you.
if he looked at Kemetic, at Kemetic history in its 3,000 plus years of existence. Could he not tell us about the 4 golden eras of ancient Kemet? Could he not tell us when Kemetic society was on the brink of failure, the brink of crisis, and was reestablished from people from the South? And he said he was unfamiliar with that.
You talking about the 18th
And
dynasty?
I said there were 4 periods. He's going to say the 18th dynasty.
No, I thought you were talking about they was on the brink. So you got the old kingdom, and then you got the middle kingdom, and then you got the new kingdom.
He's not answering. That's not an answer
That's not
to the
it?
question.
Okay,
No.
well,
you would get no points for that answer.
I mean, but what's your point, though? What
By
that
the way,
got
this
to
is
do
a
with-
question I actually ask my students.
I know, so what that got to do
He's
with...
not able to answer it. And you know why I'm saying that he's not able to answer it? The
because
reason
of
why
what?
it frustrates me is
Because what?
because Ankh
What?
actually thinks
Okay.
that he's done a little bit more study on this topic than he has.
Okay.
Because anyone who had really studied ancient Kemetic history extensively would be able to answer that question.
Okay. How long
If you're not able to answer that question,
you gotta.
if you're not able to answer the
how long you
question,
gonna talk, though?
it means that you haven't actually.
And that's what you
It
said.
means that you haven't actually done a
tell you
lot of
what.
study. And the funny thing is, when he speaks, I'm quiet.
Tell you what. No, but
When I speak, he's talking the whole time.
I was no.
Sometimes I say something, he goes, "What did you say?"
I
Because he
slowed
wasn't
down.
listening. I have to say it
slowed
again.
down.
And then he
I
says,
slowed down.
"You talk too long." Maybe if he listened,
Jabari, I didn't do that.
this would be shorter.
Jabari, I didn't actually do it there.
This would be shorter.
Jabari, I admit,
All right, you got the floor.
I admit I was kind of, but this last round, dog, yo, you taught me to death, yo. I didn't even jump in, yo. I didn't actually jump in. Now, here's what he's doing to you.
Even saw that as I
started
he knows that he's been interrupting the whole time.
So, are you not interrupting now?
Go ahead, brother.
Thank you. And I want you talk for 10 minutes. I want my 10.
I don't know. You didn't do no time. he must think I'd never seen the 3-card Monty on 125th Street. Like I was like, oh, I guess he was timing me. He wasn't timing me. Please.
So listen what I'm saying here. This the game he playing. He thinks because he's an Egyptian priest, because that's what he thinks he is. He's not. He's an African American practicing Christianity, calling Egyptian. We know this to be the truth. But we know, you know, you're humming and all that. Humming and all that, and he don't know what the Egyptians do. They barely understand Egyptian religion. They don't got it together like that. But this is the point I want to make. I don't have to know the intricate history of Egypt to understand the population. So I might not know all the minute details that you claim to know. I had to check you on that, yeah. But I do understand migrations. I do understand DNA markers. I understand the topography, right? I understand these things. So I understand the argument. The argument absolutely has nothing to do with when Egypt was in crisis. The argument has something to do whether the 3 times that you claim they called themselves black, you absolutely made that up. You can't prove and verify that. I just want to get back. You made that up, okay? Just to be sure on that. The argument has something to do with understanding when racial constructs came into being, how they came about, and did Nile Valley Africans do this? That's the conversation. That's all I got to know about. That's all I got to study. The evolution of the populations in Egypt. Hunter-gatherers coming from the Green Sahara, the Western deserts, right? This is what I understand, bro. This is what I do, right? I've been studying the Green Sahara, so I've been studying that. I'm not interested in Nile Valley like you are, as you should be. You should be interested. I'm interested in populations in the Green Sahara. I'm interested in populations near the Red Sea. You know what I'm saying? Pan-grave culture. I'm interested in that. That's what I do. I do wares. I talk about that. I talk about which is pottery. This is what I talk about. The fishbone and wavy line pottery. I talk about the grinding stones, the microliths. This is what I like to talk about. So
what? What was the last thing you said? The
microliths.
Okay.
That's actually the first industry prior to farming that got them rich. The microliths. You know, the little things you put in sticks and cut down grains and grasses. We know they was chopping down grains and grasses prior to farming, right? We know they was harvesting the plants, and because they had the grinding stones, they grind down the grains. We know that. But this is what I like to talk about. So, no, I understand that Nile Valley community did not have racial constructs. We do know, like all apes, they had the ability to distinguish color. That's what apes do. They see in color. So we do know they saw in color. We do know they could see a darker skinned person, a lighter skinned person. Nobody's denying that. You said that. You act like that was going to get by me. No, it did not. So yes, all human beings can see color. We know this to be true because they showed the quote unquote Nubians darker than them at all times. So the question is this: if the Nubians, right, are shown as being dark black like that, right, and the Egyptians rarely never show themselves in dark black, why would you think that they call themselves 3 times out of 4,500 years of history black people? Why would you even put that together? An academic would never make that mistake. 3 times don't count over 4,500 years, Jabari. So I'm just making this point very clear. I don't have to understand when Egypt was in crisis. That's your job. That's your job, to make sure everybody know that. My job is to make sure everybody understand the archaeology that comes along with it, the racial constructs, the evolutionary process that developed hunter-gatherer tribes. They go from hunter-gatherer tribes, right? You know what I'm saying? To civilization, and to be able to explain that. That's what I do. Semi-nomadic tribes, right? They had their summer dwellings, right? They migrated back to Sahara, They migrate back and forth. That's my job, Jabari. So yeah, keep doing what you're doing, and I'm gonna ask you again. Did you answer the mummy? Did you say the mummy talked to you?
The mummy? What?
Did you say the mummy talked to you?
I already answered that question. I'm not going into that now. But I want to respond to what he said. He said he's an Egyptian priest, and I want to be clear that he's saying that
an Egyptian priest.
he said that.
No, I said you are the Egyptian priest.
Yes, he said he's an. I'm quoting him.
Okay.
Oh.
He's an Egyptian priest.
Right.
You not?
And I know that he knows he's saying that in a really, that's why he's laughing, in a really slight way because it's a little bit of an insult, right?
No, it ain't.
Because I would never call myself an Egyptian priest. But that's neither here nor there. That's neither here nor there.
I take that back. What'd you call it?
He also said that there were 3 times, I said there were 3 times that they called themselves black. I did not say that. I did not say that. I'm not sure why he said that.
What'd you say? When did you say that?
And he also said that they always showed the Nubians as darker than themselves. This is another reason why I'm asking him if he had seen the particular site I'm responding to. Mm-hmm. He has not seen the site. And I know he's not seen the site, nor has he seen any really good pictures of it because it was closed for over 20 years. Mm-hmm. I had an opportunity to go in I guess it was probably 2019 I went in and took some good pictures, even though you're not supposed to take pictures. I took pictures. And I know that he hasn't seen it. So some of what he's arguing, he shouldn't be, just because he's a little bit less familiar with some of the data that he's referring to. So he should actually, I told him if he could describe the 4 golden eras of ancient Kemet, when Kemet had to reconstitute itself or constitute itself. And he said, that's something for me to do. That's not something for him to do. The point of understanding those eras is to understand what the basis of Kemetic society is. If there's a period of crisis and people from a particular region reconstitute Kemet over and over again, this is important. Understanding the history of a region, rather than just trying to argue something based on evolution, is important. I didn't ask Ankh to join these discussions over the race or culture of ancient Kemet. He waded into those conversations. If he'd like to talk about just hunter-gatherers and migrations and DNA, fine. But he's the one that entered into here and started calling people pseudo. He did that. In my lane. In my lane. A lane that he's unfamiliar. He's not even driving a car. Homeboy is walking with a donkey, and the rest of us are in vehicles. He's not able to understand what we're referring to. And anyone who has studied Kemet knows what I'm referring to. It is critical because it helps you understand what Kemet is, who the Kemetic people were. If you don't understand that, then you can't have discussions about, who they were ethnically, racially. You can't do that. You have to be able to do that. And you have to be able to have a good time frame of what you're referring to. He's not able to do that. So sometimes I'm like, why does he continually come into my lane to argue? I'm not going to his lane and argue. Have you seen me say, Ankh, I'm going to argue with you about evolution? Have you seen me do that? I don't do that. I don't do that. I could. I don't. Why could I? Because if you listen to Ankh, you would think that I am some spiritual kooky person that just stands on the corner saying some things, and then I don't do any of that at Hunter and all that other stuff. The reality is, the 2 courses I teach at Hunter, the first one is the history of Africa from human origins to 1600 CE. Not just the history of Kemet or the history of Kush, the history of Africa from human origins to 1600 CE. So I have extensively discussed the manner in which human beings come into existence, and where they came into existence, and what the movements of certain populations are. Okay. I teach that, right?
Okay.
The second course I teach is African history from 1600 CE to present.
Okay.
So that's really where I spend most of my time and most of my research. And I really do feel sometimes that he's debating a caricature of me. And it's a little frustrating. And you know why it's frustrating? It's not frustrating when he's here, because I could tell him it's a caricature. It's frustrating when I see him talking about me and I'm not there. I'm like, where did he get that from? Where did he get that from?
A caricature.
So that's where we are. We didn't have to have a contentious discussion this evening, this Friday evening. We didn't have to.
We didn't have no contention.
It was a contentious discussion.
Oh, you got me.
It certainly was.
Do you know who the Kemetic people are? He's saying you don't know who they are.
Yeah, he just said that. He actually give
Who are they?
They're indigenous Africans. They came out of the Green Sahara. We just went to the exhibition that talked about that. I can read that. When they come out of the Green Sahara, they're not called Nubians, Egyptians, or Libyans, or none of that. They just hunter-gatherers, right, are needing refuge to the river. First of all, don't nobody actually want to be near the river. Why? Because the river's ferocious and it floods, and people will drown when it floods. So they had to kind of learn how to control that. So they built dams, right? Levees, okay? Going perpendicular, all right?
What period is it? Are these
early
dams and
pre-dynastic times.
And they dammed it where?
That river. They dam it from the start in the south, right? Starting in the south, right? And up. Okay, that's important, so it don't overflood too much. Levees, they go and foul the river and across the river. They do both. They do great jobs. I think maybe they learned that from looking at beavers. I'm not sure if they got an African variety of beavers in that area, right? I'm not sure that. I would like to look into that. That's my personal thing. I'm thinking how they would actually learn to do that. But my point is, I understand the population. I understand the strengths and weaknesses of the population. Now, when I talk about the Nubians, you also see Nubians like brown skin and dark browns. As a matter of fact, with big lips, they was trying to be funny with that. That's not actually how they look. They was trying to be funny when they showed the big lips. They was trying to mock them a little bit like that, right? Because in text, it seems like the Nubians and the Egyptians were having issues. But on the ground, it actually wasn't like that. Like when sometimes we show up on camera, people think we've really got real beef. But in real life, we don't actually have real beef. We just have small contentions and conversations when, like you say, I do things you don't like, and I say you do things I don't like. But we ain't really beefing like that. You know what I'm saying? Same with those two populations that's in the Nile Valley. So I understand who the Kemetic people are, man. Like, that's crazy. Right? And what I do understand about them.
He said that. I didn't say.
Okay, all right. Yeah, you kind
of. He oversimplified my comment.
Yeah, but you got
and then had you respond to the oversimplification. He don't know the Kemetic people.
You said he don't know who the Kemetic people are.
That's not what I said.
See, I see. He's delusional.
I said that Ankh is not versed in Kemetic history.
No.
And understanding Kemetic history.
He don't know who the Kemetic people are.
Yeah, you said that, bro.
Come on, Jabari.
Don't worry about it, Jabari. We good. But what I want to say is that regardless, he's a damn professor.
Boy.
And I am not, right? So you suppose you know all the super duper. So when was those ages, though? When was it? I thought it was I thought one of them was the New Kingdom.
What age?
Ushered in the 18th dynasty. Am I wrong? Hold on for a minute. Am I wrong?
You step out your lane when you attack the Kemetic.
No, the Kemetic.
You know that's he's been there several times.
Therefore.
Okay, but am I right with the 18th dynasty? That has to be one of the
There are 4 periods. You have to be more specific in your answer. That
18th
wouldn't
dynasty,
be a specific
when they chased
enough
the Hyksos out.
That happened. Technically, you would call that the 17th dynasty.
Okay, technically. Thank you for the technical. But am I right? Is that one of the?
Okay. So now he gets 25% on the test.
I would say, Jesus Christ.
Give him his F and let him go back. He got 25% and he tried to cheer. Yeah, I got 25%. You're welcome. Take your F and go sit down. Oh my goodness.
So let's talk about the kingship.
There are usually, Kemet is usually considered to have four golden eras. And most people would argue that the golden eras, if I had to be really brief with describing them, I've described them before, would be clearly when you see Narmer come forward and unify Kemet at around 3100, 3200 BCE. That would be the first one.
Old Kingdom, right? That's what I said. But go ahead.
Is Narmer in the Old Kingdom?
Yeah, he the first king of the Old Kingdom.
Is he?
Yeah. He gotta be, right?
You got another F, brother. You getting all the questions wrong. Narmer is Dynasty 0.
Yeah, 0. But he might not even be called Narmer. He might be Serpent King. That's up for debate.
Most people wouldn't argue that. No,
That's up for debate.
no, it's not really up for debate. No, no.
Yeah. Scorpion King.
Have you seen the jug at Til Natah that has all 5 of his names?
No, you
It
talking
doesn't
about the
have
catfish?
aha. It doesn't have aha.
Oh, okay.
So that's an old argument that you probably heard. Most scholars today wouldn't make that argument anymore. That they believe that Scorpion
Okay, I'm gonna let you have that.
is separate from Narmer.
So that's another king. Maybe not
Likely his father.
Oh, that's
Likely his father.
Okay.
Well, we know who his queen was, and we know who Narmer's mother is. So there's enough information for us to say. Who was Narmer's mother?
Man, so now this is ask Uncle.
It is. And guess why I'm asking you these questions?
Why? I don't
Because you're
got-
out your lane.
I'm not out my lane.
Because you're out your lane.
No, I'm not. My lane is archaeology.
Who was Narmer's mother?
There's an 18-wheeler behind you, brother.
And he walking with a donkey.
That's cool. That's cool.
Hey, he said you out.
So I would like to say this though.
18-wheeler?
He out his lane.
I would like to say this though. So actually, my lane is archaeology. Right?
Is it really?
Evolution.
You gotta
Absolutely.
take him in the deep
Okay.
water.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
Oh.
Okay.
Yeah, so
You gotta know.
All right.
Argue with him
yeah,
with.
so what do the archaeological finds say about the first 2 dynasties and their kings?
I've been talking about archaeological finds the whole time.
Okay,
I
but-
just asked him if he had
No,
seen
you asked him about a person's
the
name.
jug. No, I asked you if you had seen the jug. That's an archaeological find.
Yes, it is. And I said I've seen the jug. You talking about?
No, you said you hadn't seen the
No,
jug.
I said I didn't know the person name.
No,
Wife's name.
I asked you, have you seen the jug that I'm referring to that has all 5 of Narmer's names?
I gotta pull it up. Let me see.
The answer is no. Why is he doing this to
Because I
himself?
might have. Hold on, I'm not gonna let you.
Why is he doing this to?
I'm not
Why are you
gonna see
doing
it.
that? Why is he doing that to himself?
I'll let you know if I've seen it or not.
This is an intelligent, well-read brother.
Yes, he is.
And he always veers into the areas that are more in my purview to argue with me.
It might
and
be.
it makes him look bad.
What's the name of the jug? What's the
And
name of it?
I'm not even telling you because there's a bunch of jugs. You do some research. Because I mentioned it before and you ain't do no research. I mentioned it again, you ain't do no research.
definitely-
This is the 3rd time I've asked you that question. He never did any research. I'm not helping him. I'm not.
It ain't
Come on,
helping.
Jabari.
So
I'm
back
not.
to my, I don't need help. So back to my question. Based
By the way, I
on-
only gave him 1 of the 4. He got 1 of them kind of, but that's just 1 of the 4.
then the middle king. When it comes to the middle king. Anyway, so what does in the first 2 dynasties?
What did you just say?
What?
What did you just say?
Middle King.
He about to make another big mistake. What did you just
Man,
say?
I want to get on that.
What
man.
did you just say with
I
Middle
said I-
Kingdom? What did you just say?
So the Middle Kingdom. That's
What's
not
the Middle
another-
Kingdom?
That's not another period when they come in. When they come back in, I believe like the 12th dynasty or something like that. Isn't that ushered into the New Kingdom or not? I mean the Middle Kingdom or what?
What period are you referring to?
I just said the Middle Kingdom. I'm
The
asking
Middle
you.
Kingdom is a long period. What period
So
are
is
you
that-
referring
so I'm
to?
asking,
You can't just say the Middle
But
Kingdom.
I'm asking, is that okay? But I'm asking, is that a period when they refresh themselves again? That's what I'm asking.
He's asking the broadest possible question and trying to make it seem like the most specific answer.
I'm just
and I'm
saying,
laughing
I'm
at him
asking you.
because
I'm
you
asking
can't
you.
answer the question that way. If my
Okay, help
student
me
answered
out.
the question that way, I would say, go back and
Hey,
reread
Jabari, I don't
chapter
have a
3.
problem. Listen, I don't have a problem with you
Because
getting
he's
on that.
not answering these questions.
But I
so,
do- but
so wait
I
a minute.
asked
So wait a minute.
I'm not going to let you
when
run me
you
too
mentioned
long.
the Middle
I'm going to
Kingdom.
give you 20 more seconds because I was making a
when
point.
you make your point.
My point was, what do you say about the Old Kingdom kings in the first 2 dynasties? What do you say about their burial practices and the kings are burying subjects with them when they die? What do you say about that? That's what I'm asking you.
I honestly believe that the idea that kings buried subjects with them comes from one site, right?
No,
It's from one site.
It's first 2 dynasties.
No.
Yes, it is.
No.
Yes, it is.
By the way,
That's just
I
fine.
said one site. He said first 2 dynasties. How many kings are in the first 2 dynasties?
Okay, one site. The king. He's the first king of the first dynasty, king of the second dynasty. So those 2 sites right there, they have retained a sacrifice. That's what I'm saying.
I don't even mean this as an insult.
What?
You should take my class.
I might.
Because what
If it's
would
free,
end
how
up
much is it?
happening,
You-
what would
is you
end
still-
up,
you
what
still
would end up,
financing it?
what would end up happening is you would be able to disagree with me at a better level.
No, I asked you a
Because
question.
it's not that I know everything. No
I didn't
one
say you
knows
did.
everything.
I didn't say you did.
But I think that
I didn't say you
his
did.
inability to even contend with the most basic information means we're not
What is
able
it,
to
is it
have
5 King?
a good conversation.
Doja, hold on.
Now he's looking up.
I
Now
supposed
he's
to.
Googling.
No, I'm looking at what is wrong with y'all niggas and disrespecting Google? Like you don't do.
There's
I'm not
nothing
looking at
wrong
you,
with Google, but
okay.
if you're Googling and I'm
We can
teaching,
have- you're not-
how are we having a dialogue?
Because we're not we're talking about a specific question that you flim-flamming right now because you obviously don't know. You obviously don't know the answer, so you took me down a wild ass road. So let me
The
be your
argument-
teacher now.
the
It's not
argument-
even an argument. I'm asking you.
It is an
The
argument.
first kingdom, I'm saying in the old kingdom, Doja, right?
Joser.
They got, however you want to say it, they got his burial site, bro. Right?
Joser
I'm asking
Net
you-
Harikat.
So I'm asking you, I'm saying that's retainer sacrifices. When the king die, right, they bury their subjects with him.
Where do you
That's what
see
I'm
that in
saying.
Joser's site?
It's right, hold on, there you go.
Where do you see that in Joser's site?
At the site, they got the different chambers. Here you go, hold on.
I've been to Joser's site 25 times.
Uh-oh.
Hold on for a minute. Hold on, wait, hold on. I said the first two kings. What's the first two kings?
Joser is not one of the first two kings.
Okay, what's the first two kings?
What dynasty is Joser from?
Those is from the. Why are you doing this, Jabari?
Because right now what
Well,
I'm
why is
doing
he
is
doing- know what
I'm
it's called?
trying to
Why is he doing
display that he's out of his
Okay,
lane.
but I'm not out my lane
He
because he's
mentioned
avoided
Joser.
for
He
an
said
hour.
he mentioned Joser, mispronounced
I
his
told you,
name.
I don't know
I
the kings,
corrected
man.
him
I
and
said,
I
I don't know
asked
them
him what
kings.
dynasty he's
Man,
in,
I
and
don't
he
know
says
none
he
of them
doesn't
kings.
know.
I don't know none of them kings.
The last time we spoke, Ankh,
I don't know.
you said, I know as much as you do. You should not be talking to me like this.
Jabari,
That's
how
what you
doing
said.
it? That's how you doing it, Jabari? So everybody
Fight
can see
back
this.
up, man.
No, everybody can see this,
Ankh,
right? Hold on.
Look at that face.
Hold on. Everybody can see what he doing. I asked this nigga a simple question.
I'm not a nigger.
He has
Please don't.
avoided it. Hold on. Whoa. The good nigga. Ask him a simple question, right? He has avoided it for the last 25 minutes. So I'm gonna ask you that question again, and then I'm gonna showboat on you.
No.
So let's find the first king, the old kingdom first. Hold on. Here you go. We're gonna do this since I can't use Google, but I'm gonna do it now. Okay,
didn't
I'm
say
gonna
he
pull up the
couldn't
site.
use
Yeah,
Google.
you did. You made a joke.
What I
out of it.
am
That was
saying
funny.
is, if
Hold on,
he
what's
has
the question?
What's the question?
I asked him about retainer sacrifices, and he ran off into the abyss. And still
I was
ain't
actually answering the question when he interrupted.
Okay, go ahead.
There's one site that they make the argument about that they say that one king must have had retainer sacrifices.
Let me get that.
And there's no definitive. And the other thing that they used to make the argument that retainer sacrifice must have occurred was also when they look at the label of a particular old kingdom king. I would name him, but I'm not going to because I want Ankh to continue to flounder. I'm gonna be really honest with you. I want him to continue to flounder. But there's a label that they say shows that they're sacrificing a servant. It's a really, really low resolution image. It's scratched into an ivory label. And
you
so,
making it up, bro.
no, I'm not making that up. I'm not making it up.
Yeah, you making it
no, man, even.
Making it up.
Thinking about going off the block or something. Like, y'all do this. 'Cause
Oh, okay.
this is like never gonna end.
Yes, it is.
It's going to end soon because I got to get up early in the morning. What's the music? You got what is that playing from?
That's coming from the basement, I think.
Yeah, it sounds like it's from a club or something, or restaurant.
I think it's coming from the basement.
Because that's not what most people that live right here would be playing right now. So I want to know, what is that from?
Rock. That's some straight up rock.
So, and country and rock. You heard it, right?
Yeah, I did.
So I thought maybe, does he have a restaurant over here? You know, you got those restaurants that are like
Right, yo,
national
ladies are
restaurants.
going now, you turn it up.
You don't care. Y'all gonna be here all night. Y'all.
No, we not. I ain't gonna get it.
I'm going to leave here
So,
soon.
like I said,
I gotta
first
drive
down,
all the way.
Aha,
Yo,
King Aha, huh?
Oh, good.
King Aha.
King
right.
Aha what?
King Aha, he's the first dynasty king. Am I correct? Yeah. Right, you supposed to know that, my nigga. Now look who's slipping.
Come on, man. Stop.
Is King Dynasty first
fault.
dynasty?
I won't take that.
Aha's King Dynasty?
Yeah,
He's
Aha.
Dynasty 1?
Yep, King Aha, yep.
He's Dynasty 1?
No, Aha is the second pharaoh of the first dynasty.
Okay, but is that
Second
Dynasty
pharaoh.
1 or what dynasty is that?
That's the first day. Yeah, he's the second
Is
pharaoh of the first
This
dynasty,
is
King
Dynasty.
Aha.
It's Dynasty 0, though. You should know. That's
Okay,
how scholars designate.
Okay, all right, Mr. Scholar. Okay, so now let's
And that
talk
time I
about-
said that without any fire or heat,
No heat.
because
Man.
W. When y'all come back, yeah, just ring the bell.
Okay, so what do you say about him?
what do you
They
mean, what
definitely
did I say
stopped
about
there.
him?
What do you say about that? As far as that,
As far as what?
as far as
what?
retaining sacrifices on.
I say that I don't think that there's
That's it, and King
definitive
Joseph.
enough information to make that argument, and they've taken it and run with it
King James.
on the flimsiest of information, of sources.
Okay, so
Look at De Geer.
so here's
I'm giving you a person now. The ivory label
I
of
got
De
it.
Geer.
Just there, right?
That's the one you said I was flim-flamming. I told you it was the ivory label of De
You said
Geer.
that. So let me say this.
So can you acknowledge I wasn't flim-flamming? Since you Googled it?
You was kind of.
Oh, it's kind of flim-flamming? You just read it there.
No, you was kind of playing.
The ivory, look for the ivory label of De Geer. Let me show it to you. I'll show
No.
it to you.
I want to stay there. King Den.
What about Dan?
King Den. I'm naming the king.
Yeah, but what about Dan? Are you saying they have
I'm-
retainer sacrifice?
Yes, the kings.
Is that what you're
retainer
saying?
Yes, I'm giving you the kings with the retainer sacrifice.
Okay, read what you're reading from.
Dynasty. Right? No, I'm just showing you what it is. Now let me explain this. This is why this is important. Okay? It's important because, right? Nubians practice retainer sacrifices. Am I correct? We don't have to argue that. Correct? Right? Sudan, the Sudanese kings, they practice. Yes. Okay.
I honestly.
They did. I'm telling you, they did. And,
Yeah, what are you basing it on?
I'm basing it on the rituals that they practice well into. Yeah, that's them.
Here, this is.
Yep, that's it.
What's it?
That's Jed. I know that because you're right. You're right. I know that.
You can
When I
say
see it,
Jer or De Geer.
De Geer. Am I right though?
Okay.
Okay. See, I can
And
see
so
it. I can
this is what most scholars cite when they say that there's retainer sacrifice. It's really flimsy. Look at what they now. When I show it to you, you're going to say, "Really?"
No, I got some scholarly work on that though. It's not that.
Yeah, but it's not good. Read it. Read it. And look at the sources.
I'm gonna tell you what's important. Let me just say.
And
why-
you should know that even when the scholars they're making an wait. Let me say this.
Okay.
They're making an argument. There's no definitive proof that occurred.
Hold on, but there's a piece you shouldn't give up.
But look at this. I want to show this to you. Wait, look. See this right here? This whole ivory label? Look right here. Can you see this?
Yes.
This little thing where it seems like someone's pulling someone out of someone's belly, maybe into a pot or something. You're not looking.
Hold on, man.
I'm doing this for him. I already know it.
Yeah, go. You talking about right there when it seems like he's
So
killing subjects.
this is what they
He's killing
try
subjects.
to argue. We don't know if he's killing subjects. This is a stick figure.
I'm going to tell you.
We do not know that definitively. So for them to make that argument, I think it's flimsy.
Okay.
It's flimsy.
Okay. Now, why are you thinking of making that argument, though? Why is that important?
Why is what important?
Why is it important to make the argument I'm making?
I don't know.
Because the Nubians definitely practice sacrificing subjects when their kings died. Why?
So what's your point then?
My point
what's your point?
is
What's
that
here? Make your point.
The place where you find people burying the subjects when the king died is the oldest kingship. So this is how we verify and prove, right, that the Nubians had a sacrificial. They call sacrificial kings. It's in the book that you always talk about, Christopher Eric. The oldest place where the kingship actually started is going to be where they do the retainer sacrifice. Now watch this. Egypt.
He makes that argument?
Yes, he does.
He makes the argument.
He calls them sacrificial.
Wait.
Yes, he calls sacrificial kings. Absolutely.
Okay.
Okay. Now that's important because we always talk about the kingship come from Nubia. We can verify that based off of them doing that thing. Now the Egyptians immediately get out of that.
I would honestly
they do it.
think
They
that's
do it early.
The
Hold on, they
weakest
do it.
argument.
That's
I
fine,
would
but they
say.
do it early.
There's lots of other reasons why.
Let me
you
finish
would
my
connect
point
it.
though. They do it
Go
early.
ahead. Go ahead.
And then they stop it. Right.
Okay.
That's normally how it happens in other places in the world. Right, they do the taboo of actually killing the subjects with them, and then China does the same thing. And then they start putting, they still do it, but symbolically. Put the Washaptis and all that, just like in China when they put the,
What was that word?
I think it's Washaptis. Am I saying that wrong?
Okay.
All right, but my point is they do it in China. Those figures with when the emperor dies and they put the army in there with them, right? It's the same symbolic reference. But the oldest reference would be when you actually find that they buried the stuff. That's what I'm trying to tell you. So Egypt still do it, but they do it symbolically. That's my point. That's one of the reasons why we understand them to be Nubia having the oldest kingship, the sacrificial chieftains.
Well, I mean, I don't think that we need to look at retainer sacrifice in order to make the argument that they have the oldest.
That's one of the reasons.
I mean, one of the ways that we can, I mean, just looking at the dating of the archaeological sites, we're able to tell that they have the oldest monarchy on record in the entire world. Yeah. In the entire world. The oldest. And that's based on the dating of the sites. So, I mean, if you go to Nubia A, and Nubia B. George Reisner worked. Reisner was a horribly racist man, but he did do some of the crystal archaeological stuff. Burners and all that. Am I correct? That was the crystal incense burner, which you could look at. You know, it's here. The crystal incense burner is in the United States, so it's one of the things.
What museum? What museum? Is it here? Is it right here? Me? No, I'm not. I'm asking you a question. I can't answer a question.
Okay, I want to know why you asked me the question.
Oh man,
the museum just changed its name. It used to be called the Oriental Institute, Museum of the Oriental Institute, but now I think it's called the Institute for the Study of Ancient Cultures. I think is what they call it. Now. It's part of the University of Chicago.
Okay, all right. Okay.
I almost went to the University of I wanted to go to. There was a part of me that wanted to go to the University of Chicago.
Deborah Heard.
But they're
like Deborah Heard?
They're Yeah,
I like Shorty.
I do. But
PhD candidate.
At the time, the stuff that they did, I mean, I had a interview by a wildly racist professor. You know, so that's what happened. So I did.
So what happened?
University of Chicago. It was here. He was in Queens, New York. But once that interview was over, I knew I wasn't going to get in.
Oh man.
So, but yeah. I'm not. It's not a problem. I'm happy I went to Cornell, but still.
So, let me ask you.
Yes.
All right, what's the question?
Do you still believe that the foundation of Christianity don't come out of Kemet?
No, I think Christianity does not live in a bubble, and I understand it's different traditions from different areas. It's surrounded, right, by different traditions. It definitely borrows on ancient Kemetic, but it borrows on the time periods where invaders are in there.
Yeah, but
correct? Christianity comes about during the time of when they don't run that no more.
But the main
you get my point? We're not in charge during those periods. Correct?
I said the foundation of Christianity.
And I'm telling you, what is Christianity?
Because look, they got Jesus, the Trinity. When you go into Kemet, you got a Sa, a Set, and Heru.
You really ain't going for that like that, is you?
What do you mean I'm not going for that? It's a very basic argument and it's factual.
So wait a minute. So hold on. But no, I'm asking you about the time period when Christianity develops. Can we get a time period? Chronology is important.
But I don't think that the time period is material to the argument.
So I think it is, Jermaine.
Clearly, when you look at Christianity's development, we're talking about something that occurs mostly in the first century of the Common Era, right? And the Kemetic tradition is much older than that. But when you look at the major archetypes and the major threads in the religious narratives of ancient of Christianity, you're going to see earlier versions of those.
And go right here. See different burial chambers right there. And that's the point I was trying to make.
You're showing me chambers. You're not showing me that they actually.
Yeah, they had.
That we know that people were killed and put in there just because you showed me chambers.
But I'm just saying. So I'm just letting you know why you think they got the chambers there.
Most of the major royal burials had a multiplicity of chambers.
And they put the fake statues in there. They put the fake. I'm telling you, bro.
Why don't you come to Kemet with me so you could make a better argument? That's a horrible argument he's making. Because they have chambers. Because they have chambers. Because
it's got a burial chamber.
I'm taking a group to South Africa as well. I don't know what you're
It's a burial chamber.
So, but there are probably 2026.
I said
where?
Next year. Where?
What do you mean? Where am I going?
Where in South Africa?
I'm going to go. There are going to be several stops in South Africa.
Listening.
It's not the whole itinerary is not settled yet.
No, but do you have a problem going to Kemet though? If you don't,
Yeah, my ancestors don't lie in Kemet.
Your ancestors lie in South Africa?
Yeah, the origin of humanity is in South
What? Is that the argument you're making?
Wow, okay.
Just because of origins of humanity?
Yeah,
That's why you're going to South Africa?
I mean, I think y'all doing that though. Y'all doing the Egypt thing. Y'all think we did it to death. I'm taking people to South Africa.
Oh, you're going? You're taking
I'm
the
gonna go. I'm gonna get a trip
Oh,
to South
yeah.
Africa.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. I'm leading a tour to South Africa as well.
That's why I said where, and you ain't telling me.
Well, I said the itinerary is not
Okay,
is
I
not
don't want to
fixed
say
yet.
because you'll go do that and I'm going to cuss you out. Look,
I'm gonna follow his trip.
Yeah, you gonna follow my
the
trip.
historian on African history is gonna take
I'm not a historian.
his trip. No, I'm the historian. I know you're not a historian.
but you ain't a historian on Pinnacle Point and all that. Are
On
you?
what?
Pinnacle Point.
I'm actually a scholar that studies African history.
So you understand.
So that we're going to go to many different sites within South
So
Africa.
I asked a question. Pinnacle Point. So you familiar with that?
I am.
What about it? What you know about Pinnacle Point?
I'm not running down all of that.
It's my
now.
turn. See?
No, we're
See,
not
now it's
doing that.
why
We're not doing that.
See,
We're not doing that.
See, now we're not doing it.
We're not
He
doing
did
that.
me like
No.
that.
Like that.
We're not
See,
doing
he
it.
did me. See how he did me?
No.
Now in my area,
Here's what I want you to
I don't like
understand.
that. No,
Here's what I want you to
I'm
understand.
fine.
I'm not arguing that Ankh is not a
I know you're not.
well-read
I know you're
person
not.
that has
Right.
areas
And
of
I ain't an
expertise.
expert, and
What
I ain't
I'm
an expert.
saying to you is
Here we go,
he
he's
always wades into my area. That's what I'm saying.
Okay, but
That's what I'm saying.
so Pinnacle Point is your area?
I would say that I've studied African history extensively.
No. I'm saying Pinnacle Point is my area.
But I'm not going to just sit here
see
and
that?
say, I don't know why he would say it's his area.
Yeah,
That's ridiculous.
because I talked about it damn near 20 years ago.
What
So
does
that's
that
what
have to
I'm
do with
actually
anything? Because you talked about it 20 years ago means it's your point? What?
No. I'm saying is
Barb, you gotta be
he's
fair.
running.
You gotta go into
No,
He not.
please
See, he
stop.
not.
Stop.
See, he
Son,
don't do it.
look
Don't
at
fight
Son.
me. Hold on. I sit here and
If y'all could only see Sa.neter's face.
No, yo, I
Sa.neter
took it.
has
I
a
took it.
particular almost
No, I
smile
took it.
when he's
No.
trying to create
took it.
more
I said it.
conflict.
I took it.
Don't tell me you're
The
scared.
point-
Barb.
Yeah, he's
Go
scared.
into
I got him.
You
We
see
even
where
up.
he's going, right?
No, it's not. See,
The point
He
is
said he
this.
don't- He can't say he don't know.
The point
I
is
was
this.
mad to say, you know what? I don't know.
The point is this. The point is this.
No.
I have no interest in going into his
No,
land.
then I say I
At
don't
all.
know. Hold, think about it.
I have no
Then
interest
say,
in going
he
into his
start acting
land.
with the
Why
Golden
not?
Ages.
Because I'm allowing him
See?
to have
Flam
areas that he
flammery.
says that he's an
That's
expert
flammery.
in. I don't know if I agree.
I'm not an expert. Listen,
Well,
a Sa.neter.
He just said it's his area,
Sa.neter, I
so
just would like
if
to
you say it's your
Hold on.
area,
This thing, audience. When the man asked me some wild ass comedic fact, I said, I don't know. I admitted it, didn't I? He can't do that. That's the difference.
the difference
He
is
won't tell you one
the
thing about
difference
Pinnacle
is
Point. I
the
bet you.
difference is
I bet you.
he has actually come here and challenged me on
not
comedic
challenging you.
history several times.
You got me,
not
bro.
just today, many
I admit
times.
you got me.
Many times.
But even that-
he changes the goalposts. He acts like
Probably
he knows
so.
stuff he doesn't
Probably
know.
so.
The last conversation, he said, "I know as much as you do." He was really upset.
No,
he
but I
literally
actually
said he
do.
knows
I
as much as
actually
I
do.
do.
He just
You
know-
to deal with
And the
it.
point is this.
Show him
Wait,
why.
the point is this. I don't veer into his lane.
Alright,
But
okay.
he doesn't
You see
have
what he
the
do?
general respect for my knowledge.
Look, me and you.
So that's what he does.
We right here.
So yeah, sure. Y'all could be there. I'm fine.
Yo,
that don't mean nothing to
why
me.
You feel that Christianity is
No. It is part. No. There is some. Yes, they do get aspects of it, but not all of it don't
the
come.
majority of it come out of.
I wouldn't actually say that because first of all, it comes out of Christianity is the Jewish sect, so it comes out of Judaism.
No. Where do Judaism come out of? Huh?
Okay, Judaism come out of Middle Eastern traditions,
It also come
Western
out of
Asia.
as well.
Hold on, Western Asian traditions and quote unquote ancient indigenous African practices. So it is a periphery of things. It's not just one thing. It's a tapestry
But
of
the
different
foundation
cultures.
is Kemet, though, right?
And I wouldn't say that. They wasn't even never in Kemet.
You
first of
mentioned
all.
Judaism.
Who was never in Kemet?
The Hebrews.
They were never in Kemet?
Nah, you know that.
That's not true.
Oh, man.
They were certainly in Kemet.
What is wrong with
They
y'all?
were certainly in
They
Kemet.
was there.
I mean,
can't pull all
if
about-
you
no, they
should
was-
go,
no, they
if you
wasn't.
go to the Elephantine site, you're going to see extensive Hebrew. You're
No,
going to
that's
see Hebrew
Elephantine.
temple.
That's a late site. No, I'm talking about when they wrote the text, claiming they was in Egypt and Moses and them. I'm talking about. What's
During
Moses?
slavery.
1300
So-
BCE.
I'm not arguing that Moses is a literal historical
I'm saying
character,
Moses never-
or that there was an Exodus. I've never argued that. In
No,
fact,
I'm saying
I've
they was
argued
not
against
there.
that.
I'm saying there's no evidence to prove they was there during the time period you're talking about Elephantine. Yes, they was there. I agree. There's a Jewish community in Elephantine.
Well, the period that they would say that occurred in, if you look at Josephus, is he would argue that is the period when the Hyksos came into Kemet. Josephus is the person that makes that argument.
He made that up.
Well,
the Hyksos ain't
so
the
that
Hebrews.
if you,
so you're saying the Hyksos are the Hebrews?
The Hyksos are probably the proto-Hebrews.
So listen, now he's out.
Because what ends up happening,
out of his
he
league.
did not let me finish.
Go ahead. Let me sit back. And
So
you know, it's my first video ever.
We don't see, for example, those people who come into Kemet as the Hyksos, as the Hekshasu. We don't see them come in with, for example, the Torah or any of those aspects of society that we would clearly say is Judaic. We don't see those things. But there are some that argue that there must have been some memory of people from that region being there, and that memory is where they created a completely fabricated story of an exodus.
So then I'm right then.
So in many ways, I don't see how he's saying that. But what we have to recognize is that when we try to understand what the Hebrew presence in Kemet, clearly we can acknowledge that Josephus at least argues that the Hyksos are that they are the Hyksos, and he's not the only one, but obviously he's one of the most important Hebrew or Jewish scholars, historians.
I would disagree with you.
You would disagree that he's one of the most important?
He was wrong. Absolutely wrong.
I think he's wrong about a lot of things.
Okay, he was wrong about that. I'm saying you got the Shashu Bedouin, you got the Aspu, you got the Harabu, you got the Amorites. These are all Asiatic tribes. It's documented on the walls. That was it. You don't got no Hebrews. So no. Now,
but why are you saying there are no Hebrews? How would you make that designation?
There's no Israelites. There's no Hebrews in Kemet at the time period at 1700 BCE or 1200 BCE. They're not there, bro. No Israelites, no kingdom, none of that.
Notice that I said to him.
Let me finish my point. And so the Hyksos aren't them neither. The Hyksos are actually
Hyksos.
Foreign chieftain. That's actually the name. They also named the Nubians foreign chieftains. So that name is also applied to the Nubians. And
they never called the Nubians Hyksos.
Yes, they did.
Though.
Yes, they did.
They called the Nubians Hyksos?
Yes, they did. It simply means foreign chieftain.
Where?
No,
Where did you see it?
Listen, the word simply means foreign chieftain.
But they never used the term Hyksos for the Nubians.
Of course they did. And my point I want to make is, but you the gospel to know all that.
I would love for you to give me a source.
So now you don't know that about Egyptian history.
I would love for you to give me a source. He's wrong.
So we got Pinnacle Point.
He's just wrong.
We got we talking Egyptian history right now.
Pinnacle Point?
No. Pinnacle Point is on South Africa. He ran out of that. Now we got a time period, okay, when we talking about the Hyksos. Okay, that's part of Egyptian
Why does he keep
history.
saying the word so incorrectly?
You want to say Hekakasut? How you want to say it? I mean, how you define? Okay, the point being is he doesn't know. So it's okay, Jabari.
I don't know what.
I got you.
I don't know what.
Jabari.
What don't I know?
You just showboated 30 minutes ago on how much I didn't know.
What don't
now
I
got
know?
You there. You don't know who Josephus. Nobody says that anymore.
Nobody says what?
Josephus and the Hyksos and all that nonsense. Hyksos. I can say it the way I need to say it. Hyksos. The point is, Josephus was wrong, right? The Hyksos ain't even dealing with a tribe of people.
What do you mean they're not dealing with a tribe of people?
It's not. The name itself does not lend to a tribe. It's not a people. It's foreign chieftains. But I thought you knew Egyptian history.
No, I'm trying to understand the argument you're making.
The word Hyksos does not apply to a people. Hyksos does not apply to a group. So you're going to make fun of the way I'm pronouncing it, but you're not going to deal with the information.
The reality is
now, answer the question. Does it reply to it? Hold on. Does the name apply to a group of people or to what I said?
It responds to
you got your chance.
A group of people who come into
Kemet. It does not.
Now, is that as clearly defined as some would like for it to be? No. And by the way, notice I said that they may be the proto-Hebrews because we don't see them come in with the markers of of the Jewish religion at all. So it seems that they came in before they had those things.
Nope.
Right?
I'm saying you just got that wrong.
And there are
So we
should
now.
also understand that
Yeah,
when the Hyksos, the Hekashkashu are actually expelled from Kemet, where are they expelled to?
So, some of them go to where the Minoans are.
What?
Greek, amongst the Greeks, the Minoans. They got fresco with them. Yes.
No, that fresco was while they were in Kemet.
No, they got some frescoes where they
From after Kemet?
yeah, when they
he's
pushed
wrong.
them out, when they pushed them out.
He's wrong.
Okay, well,
He
let me finish.
continually says things that are
Nah,
wrong.
I got you, bro. I got the archaeological survey on the Hyksos, however you want to pronounce it. You don't have that. You don't possess that.
How do you know?
I'm saying you do not possess.
How do you know?
Because I read it. Because I
How
seen
do
it.
you know
Because
I don't have
because
it?
I seen it. Because you don't got it.
How do you know?
Because if you had it, you wouldn't be saying what you were saying.
No,
I know you don't
the
got it.
Minoan, the paintings on the Minoan sites are usually considered to have been done while the Hyksos were
you
still
made that up.
in control of Kemet.
Made that up.
But I want you to be clear that
Made it up.
the Kemetic people tell us where they chased them to.
I don't care what they say. I don't believe them.
Oh, you don't believe them either?
Nah.
Okay.
No, just
All right.
like I don't believe that. Remember they fought a war. One of the oldest treaties.
I think one of the
Well, hold
things
on,
that
one
we
of the
have
oldest
to do.
treaties,
I think one of the things that we have to do. Let me finish.
Okay, bro. Go ahead.
One of the things that we have to do is recognize that I'm not arguing that the Hyksos are clearly 100% Hebrew.
Nah,
I'm not making that argument.
I'm saying
that it's their argument.
No, it's not. Now you switching to Jabari?
And you're going to still see modern scholars reference Josephus's reference of them being there. And he's not the only one that makes that reference. You know, Manetho makes that reference as well. So as we look at this, I think that what we have to do is we have to say that there may be some memory of those people that got added to the general story of the beginnings of the Hebrew people. It certainly didn't occur the way they said it occurred, right?
Hey, so now what did that say? They
So-
say, Hika Kasut. That's what I said right here. Look, see, y'all be playing with me, yo, and that ain't right. See,
Who's
you gotta
playing with
give a
him?
man what you gotta
Who's
give him.
playing with him?
See, I said,
Who's
Hika
playing with
Kasut.
him?
And y'all
Who's
play-
playing with
y'all-
him?
y'all
We're
play.
making fun of the fact that he keeps messing up the word
Well, that's why I
Hyksos
said
terribly.
But then I said Hika Kasut.
So then why you keep saying?
So I'll just say Hika Kasut.
Here's the problem,
yeah,
though.
foreign chieftain.
When you are saying a term and you
Man,
say
I
it
don't even care,
incorrectly,
but it don't
what
even
ends
matter,
up
though.
happening
No,
is
it's not.
nothing
happen.
it lets us understand
The what?
that
But I said
you're
that correctly,
less
though.
familiar
But I
with
said the
some
real
of the
term. I said
information.
Hika Kasut. I
So-
said something you
so-
weren't even familiar with.
No, of course
said
I was.
that.
I said the same thing that you did.
When you said that, so I just said the whole thing. Foreign chieftains. You keep thinking it's people.
I said
it's
the
not.
same. I said the same thing.
You didn't say.
that he
You
did.
said they. So you.
And
I'm
I
gonna
said,
ask you again.
and he argued that
Oh, wow.
when they use the word foreign chieftains, they use it for more than just these
I didn't say that.
Asiatic.
I
Yes,
didn't say
yes,
that.
you did because
What
you said
I
they
said
use it for
was,
the Nubians.
I said no. Okay. Right.
You said they use it for the Nubians.
Yes, they do.
When?
It's in text. Look it up. You can
What
Google
te-
it.
what
Go
te-
Google it. You're
This is
supposed to know that.
You're the one making the argument.
No, I'm telling you.
saying
again,
they don't.
It simply means foreign or not the
When
the
did they
Nubians
use
foreign
the
chieftains.
term?
We can look it up. How about that?
How about you might look it up because you're
I'll
the
look
one
it up.
that's trying to
I'll look
make
it
the
up.
argument.
I'll look it up.
He tried to get me to look up his stuff.
You funny.
I'm not
guy.
going to be here much longer.
You're funny
Sa.neter.
guy. Yeah, we running
I
out of
gotta
time.
boogie.
Hey, I
It's
appreciate
10
you
o'clock.
Hey, Sa.neter.
Even our
So we do know that the authority on Egypt got into an area that he did not know.
I don't
That
know
doesn't
what
mean
he's
he don't know
talking
what he's
about.
talking about. Hold on.
I don't know
That doesn't
what he's
mean-
referring
Let me
to.
finish my point. Let me talk. So that doesn't mean that all his information is wrong, that he don't know. It simply means this shit is vast. It's 4,600 years, bro. So great. You know the golden ages. I understand who the foreign chieftains was. I understand that the Hebrews never was in the Nile Valley. I understand it. And I named the different tribes. So Jabari, the Hyksos, Josephus was wrong. They had absolutely nothing to do with the quote unquote Hebrews, right? Go study up a little bit. They're foreign chieftains from foreign lands, right? In actuality, the chieftains came and galvanized that population that was in the Delta. You know what I'm saying? They already there. And sometimes they lived as Egyptians and sometimes they didn't. Sometimes they take on Egyptian names, sometimes they take on Western Asian king names. So that's what I'm saying. I understand that. If you don't understand it, you just got to catch up, bro. That's
He's
all.
saying a lot of things. Most of them are wrong, unfortunately.
Yeah, okay.
And I want you to hear. I want you to hear that he's made a lot of errors, tons of them.
Well, you could correct it.
And I don't necessarily have a problem that he's made the errors. The problem is that he thinks that he can actually swim in the same ocean that I'm in, and it's frustrating.
I actually pronounced it right
because he's constantly doing that. And he also doesn't listen. He talks the whole time when I'm speaking.
I actually pronounced it right.
So the other thing
Man,
is
you good there,
he's
bro.
actually saying that I've gotten some things wrong.
A lot.
Without any sources.
A lot.
He won't even try to even pretend that there's a source.
Anybody else look it up.
He says, you look it up, is what he says.
You go look that up.
He comes from the school of trust me, bro.
No,
trust me, bro. That's the school he comes from. Trust me, bro. You look it up. He's the one making an argument, and when he's unable to make it, then he says that I should look up his argument. This is what he's doing constantly. He makes a lot of errors, and I don't have a problem with him making errors. I'm not finished.
American Research.
I'm not finished.
Take your time. I got you.
And so the challenge that I have is that Ankh thinks that he could read a few papers, maybe read a book or two, and that he's going to be able to deal with the information from folks. It's not just me, but from folks who have actually studied this for decades, who have read virtually every volume available, who have actually done dozens of study tours. And that's frustrating. And it's even frustrating when he decides that he's going to shift the goalpost.
Now I'm shifting.
And he does that a lot. He does that a lot. And you've seen him do that even on the discussion around the confluence of the white and blue hopi. And so that's the challenge that I have. I honestly want to say that I am not arguing, just to be absolutely clear, that the Hyksos people are actually the people, are the Hebrews in a primary sense. When he asked me whether I thought that the Hyksos were the Hebrews, I said they may be the proto-Hebrews. Because what we end up seeing is the people that become the Hebrews are not one group of people. Even they tell you that they're 12 tribes.
Yeah.
They're not one group of people. And it's possible that part of the stories of those people who were with the Hyksos got muddied into the origin narrative of the Hebrew people. They don't tell a story that is recoverable historically. They don't tell the story that we can substantiate with the archaeological sources or even the text, but there is probably some relationship. And so when I ask him whether as he reads a source, because that's what he has to do to have this conversation.
Didn't that man say without
sources? So basically what you have to do is understand that those people who were the Hyksos were actually kicked out of Kemet, and the Kemetic people tell us where they chased them to. They told us where they came from, and they told us where they chased them to. And so if you understand where they chased them to, for him to say that they are not the Hebrews, in a primary sense, he's correct, because they weren't Hebrews yet. But I think that what we possibly see is that some of those people ended up becoming part of the origin narrative of the Hebrew people. They're not Hebrews yet. They're not Hebrews yet. This is the time they get kicked out of Kemet. This is the time they get kicked out of Kemet.
It's the time when you get got.
And so that's how they actually tell the story. I have enjoyed talking to y'all.
Hey, son,
and
don't let him run.
And
I just want to read my source. You're not gonna stick around. You're not gonna stick around to read my source.
You go do it.
Because that's all we ask.
I'll pause.
You said he's talking without sources, correct?
I'll pause.
No, didn't you say that to me?
I'll pause. I hope the source corroborates what you are arguing.
No, you said I ain't got no source.
I hope the source corroborates what you are arguing.
What you think?
I think it doesn't.
I think it collaborates everything.
Because I've had these conversations. We're about to see the goalposts get shifted on a flatbed truck.
I need you to pay attention. Did you hear everything that I said about the Hyksos?
Yes, go ahead.
My main point was he didn't know what the hell he was talking about. Was that not my main point? I said don't use
How was that a point?
I said,
a point is he don't know what he's talking about.
Don't use Josephus. It's outdated. Did I not say that? So let's go. It say for decades, the writings of the Ptolemy Egyptian historian Methanos influenced popular Methanos.
Manetho.
Okay, Methanos. That's the game you gonna play? You can leave.
Brother! Listen, when he does that, he's showing you that he doesn't know what he's reading. He doesn't know who Matheto is, Mathaniels? What does he say? This brother's out of his league. Why won't he recognize that? It's frustrating.
My face is funny.
It's frustrating. Mathanus? Amos, famous Amos? He made the cookies? Who are you talking about? What?
I got him so good.
Manetho.
He can smell it.
Manetho.
Okay,
Okay, good. Go ahead.
So I'll move it up. It says, as the word Hyksos is simple in Greek version, right? An Egyptian title, Heka Kasut, just like I said. It said meaning rulers of foreign lands or hill countries. While much is misunderstood, we know the Hyksos comprise of small groups of Western Asian individuals who ruled northern Egypt, especially the Delta, during the Second Intermediate Period. These rulers were recorded as Egyptians' 15th dynasty in the Torah royal canon. It say the only known kings list that documents their existence. It goes on to say, for decades, right? So we got the name straight. It's a group of ruling individuals. So we got that straight. From Western Asia that came in and ruled individuals in the Delta. Got that straight. Next point. For decades, I said, man, come on, man.
Is there anything that you said that disagrees with what I said?
What? I
Because you
said
said I got that point.
No,
But what point did you
my
get?
point was that Hyksos is not a people. It's a group of foreign chieftains. That's what it just said.
It does mean foreign chieftains.
Oh man,
I never disagreed with you on
said
that.
it. You said it was the people.
What?
You said the Hyksos was the people.
I said it refers to a group of people who took over Kemet during the second intermediate, leading to the second intermediate
chieftains
period.
that came in and galvanized the power. Anyway, let me finish. It say for decades, the writings of Ptolemaic Egyptian historian Manetho influenced the popular and Jabari opinion and scholarly interpretation of the Hyksos, preserved in Josephus' Contra Anopinium, the first. Mathanos presented the Hyksos as a barbaric
Mathanos? He's the dude with the glove?
Let me finish. Hold on. Of invading hordes, right? Of an obscure race who conquered Egypt by force. That's what you were saying, right? It say causing destruction and murder or enslaving Egyptians. It say this account continued in Egyptian texts from the Second Intermediate Period to the New Kingdom. As Egyptologists developed, years of debate over the extent of the destruction and the ethnicity of the Hyksos people inspired. It say only in more recent decades, to upgrade our information, have the Hyksos been revealed as a small group of rulers who are known of six. It say and not a population or ethnic group. I said that, Jabari. So Mathanos is, my fault. So Josephus was wrong. That's not the truth. The sources collaborate with what I'm saying. Just say, okay.
Wait.
And let's leave it alone.
How does what you read counter what I said?
Because you said.
Because I'm trying to understand. He just read a source.
First of all,
I don't disagree with anything he just read. And I don't think it counters anything I said.
First of all, let me get the points. First of all, I tried to tell you that they was chieftains and not a people.
What does that mean?
Meaning it wasn't, the people wasn't called the Hyksos.
Okay, so let me ask you this.
The people,
let me ask you a real question. Let me ask you a real question.
No, I'm making my point. Don't ask me.
Wait.
I need to finish my 2 points. So you said no, they was the people. I said no, they was chieftains, and the word is Heka Kasut, which you said I mispronounced, which I didn't. And that's simply
no, it's Hyksos is what I'm saying you mispronounced.
Okay, but I went to the real name. How about that? You used the Greek name, I went to, and I pronounced the indigenous name right.
Is it really?
Egyptian name.
Is it really a
chieftain.
Greek name? Have you read the glyphs?
Hyksos is, but the Heka Kasut is an Egyptian name.
But if you,
let me finish, bro. And so
if you read the glyphs,
foreign kings is what it means. Foreign chieftains.
Okay.
That same foreign chieftain is also applied to Nubians, right? My next point was, right, that they're not the Hebrews, and Josephus got that wrong. So this source collaborates the 3 points I made, bro.
It does not. That source did not say what you just said.
Yeah, man, it
did not say that.
It said they was from. Listen,
it does not say.
It does.
That what you just read does not say what you said it does.
It did.
And by the way,
Jabari, it said.
I'm gonna let you finish.
It said they was
but
from
please
Western
finish.
Asia.
Bring it together.
It didn't say they was Josephus. messed that up.
But what's Western Asia?
But that's not the
What's
Hebrews.
Western Asia?
But that's
Western
not the
Asia is not where Israel is?
Yes, but that's not the Hebrews.
What?
That's not.
Based on,
that's not the Hebrews.
That source does not disagree. That source does not say they're not the Hebrews.
Jabari, they're not the Hebrews.
Brother,
nobody says that, Jabari.
The Hebrew people, the Hebrew people. Now, see, if I was in my library, I would read you the Jewish scholars that actually argued that is part of their heritage as well. If you look at what's the name of the book, Origin of the Jewish People, I'm going to forget the author's name for a moment. But if you look at a lot of
does
books,
this source collaborate? I'm not going to read collaborate. I'm not going to read the whole
collaborate.
Source.
You writing with it?
I'm not going to
corroborate.
Corroborate, right? Corroborate, right? So this is what you're doing. You really going to sit there and correct everything I say?
Yes.
So
because a lot of what you're saying is wrong.
Okay, all right. So when just now?
That source does not invalidate anything I just said.
Yeah, he did, bro.
It doesn't invalidate anything I just said.
You said they were the Hebrews.
I did not say they were the Hebrews.
Then you changed it.
What did I say?
Man, we got no
Tell me if you remember what I said.
I remember what you said.
I said they may be the
you start maybe when you know I had to sit.
What do you mean when I say
they're not the proto-Hebrews?
Tell me what I mean.
Prior, proto, before, prior.
Yeah, but why am I saying they may be? Do you understand why I'm making that argument?
Because you're basing it off of Josephus. Josephus said it was the Hebrews.
I'm not just basing it off of Josephus.
Okay, but I don't know why, but they're not that.
The reason why I'm saying
the Shashu Bedouin would be more closely related to them.
Why would the Shashu Bedouin be closely related to them?
Because they was a more milder tribe. It wasn't violent.
Who? The Hyksos?
No, the Shashu.
But why would you say they're more closely related to who?
The Shashu Bedouin
are more closely related to who? Let me
be more
see
closely related to
maybe
the
I don't
Hebrews.
understand. Based on what?
Based off the fact that they worshipped a patron deity, Yahweh, right? Early on, okay, Yah, okay. And the Shashu Bedouin, they weren't like described as like marauders and stuff like that. So they wasn't a violent.
You know that Yah is a Kemetic deity, right?
Well, I know you find it in Egypt first.
Yah is actually the power of the moon.
I know you find it in Egypt first.
Yeah.
Okay, but anyway, yeah, the Josephus is just wrong. That's all I'm saying. So you found that.
I think that Josephus may not have it all correct either, but I think it's possible. I'm gonna say it again. And maybe you'll hear, I am giving you a nuance because I think that it's a nuanced argument. By the way, I can't definitively tell you whether they are or not.
Appreciate that because
I can definitively tell you that. Hear what I'm saying. Hear what I'm saying.
So your whole thing is if I pronounce the word right, you're going to stay there.
That's not my whole thing.
It's not my whole thing.
It's not my whole thing.
It's a main thing.
Let me finish. And so,
did I pronounce the indigenous word right though?
Me finish.
Hold on. Did I pronounce that indigenous word right?
Let me finish.
Yeah, I did.
I'm not finished.
Okay.
I'm not finished.
All right. And then I'll go back to that question.
What I'm trying to make clear to you is that there are a number of reasons why scholars argue that the Hyksos may be related.
They don't argue that no more.
That's not true.
They don't argue that no more.
That they may be related.
So you're actually talking about a source like you said I was.
Please let me finish.
I just want to do it like you did me.
You're interrupting the entire time. I don't do that to you.
What you did was you said I'm talking about a source.
What I'm saying is that you will certainly find scholars that argue that the Hyksos journeys in Kemet is possibly part of the origin of the Exodus period. You will certainly find them, and I'm glad to. I'll show you a bunch of them, even Hebrew scholars that have done that.
Come on, man.
But what I want you to understand is, I'm not basing that argument strictly on Josephus.
No,
I think that what we have to also recognize is the Kemetic people tell us where they go to, because the king that defeats them actually follows them. And this is where he says he destroys their seed.
Where?
He follows them and says where he goes to fight them at.
Where you fight them at? Jabari?
Are you unfamiliar?
Oh, go ahead, I'm listening. Go ahead, help me out.
It's usually the place that the Kemetic people call Sharuhan.
Okay.
And Sharuhan would be a place in modern day Israel.
Okay.
You know, a place where we see
Yo, Brother Lie, you got to start getting involved in the conversations, brother. You're too intelligent and too smart to not be involved in these conversations, man. You know what I'm saying? You got to get some confidence. You know, like you was no joke in the hood, in the street. We know that. but you got to be no joke now with the intellectualism. You feel me? You got to show us that you are no joke now with the intellectualism and all that knowledge that you hiding. And guess what? I'm not even talking about Muslims knowledge. I'm talking about with the African information that you got, with the Wolof and that type of information. See that, brother? That's what I'm talking about. You got to get some confidence, man. You can do it, brother La. Allahu Akbar, brother. Allahu Akbar. You can do it.
The Jewish people have their origin. And so it's interesting that these people, some of the kings' names are like Jacob.
Yeah, Jacoban and Jacob.
Yeah, Jacoban.
Yeah, that was some of their names.
It sounds like these are ethnically the same people that we might see as Canaanites or those folks. And I'm not saying that one-to-one those people who are the Hyksos are the Hebrews. I'm saying that the idea of their presence in Kemet goes into the origin stories of the Hebrew people. Clearly, I don't think the Hebrew people would.
Brother, Von, you making yourself look silly. Intellectualism is a word. Go and look it up. Intellectualism is a word. You making, see, you would never know who's a fool until they open their mouth, until they run their mouth. So I think you spelled the word wrong, but intellectualism is a word, and you spelled it wrong anyway. So go back to the laboratory, man.
I mean, in actuality, the origins of the Hebrew people, even according to their own stories, is really shrouded in myth. I mean, they would tell you that they come from Abraham.
Absolutely.
There's no way.
Or Chaldees from Chaldees.
There's no Chaldees.
Right. Or no.
Those are two anachron terms.
It means that he's a professor. He got a degree.
You got to go back to the video, brother, because I said intellectualism. I said you got to bring forth your intellectualism. That's what I said. I didn't say what you thought I said. You're wrong. You're wrong on that.
Actuality, the origins of the Hebrew people, even according to their own stories, is really shrouded in myth. I mean, they would tell you that they come from Abraham.
Absolutely.
There's no way.
Or Chaldees from Chaldees.
There's no Chaldees.
Right. Or no.
Those are two anachronisms.
Yep.
You know, to put those two terms together would tell you that
they're not
looking at the time. Right. They're not looking at they're making that narrative at
so we can agree on that. See, we agree.
We can agree on that. We can agree on that.
We agree on that.
So I think that what we actually begin to see is that their origins are shrouded in a bunch of things, and they're not one people. So it is possible that some of those people that were the Hyksos also their memory, their national memory, and their grievance for being kicked out came into the sort of the national identity of what would become the Hebrew people.
Yeah,
the Hebrew people tell you themselves that they're not one group of people. They describe themselves as 12 tribes. So they're not even saying they're one group of people.
But I'm just saying, so why didn't the Nile Valley, right? They wrote
And even if I said intellectualist, it just shows how dumb your ass is anyway, because that is also a word. Fool. Intellectualism is a word. Fool. You don't know what you're talking about.
About everything. They would have wrote about this.
Right about what?
They would have wrote about the Hebrews' contention. As serious as that was.
What do you mean?
I'm saying if they was in the Nile Valley,
right,
the things that they claim to have done, right, they would have wrote about that.
They did write about it. The reality is that the Kemetic people's story is the Kemetic people's story is the one that we can corroborate with archaeological evidence.
Right.
The Hebrew story is the one that is clearly based mostly in myth.
Right. So no, you
and so the Kemetic people talk about some things that we could probably argue are factual.
About what? No, about what?
Wait, listen to what I'm saying. Here, what I don't even know if you disagree with this.
All right, go ahead.
And the Hebrew people take this factual story and create an entire myth that so obscures what actually happened that when we try to look at the origins of the Hebrew people as a historical narrative, the stories that they've told us all the way from Abraham all the way through Judges, I mean, most of those people, I think we can argue, are probably not historical people, and many Jewish scholars, many biblical scholars don't argue that they're correct.
You're saying that the Nile Valley population, you're saying wrote about you're not saying that, are you?
Wrote about what?
Wrote about the Israelites?
I'm saying that this is a complex piece I'm trying to say. And it is nuanced, and you're going to get frustrated by it.
No, I know.
But I think it's accurate.
I'm not
Listen to what I'm saying. You're not going to disagree with me.
Okay, let's see.
Something actually happened, right? We know that the actual presence of the Hyksos in Kemet. By the way, we have Kemetic texts where they're not just talking about. Wait, listen to me.
Right.
Where they're not just talking about the rulers as Hyksos. They are calling the people their Hyksos. The name may have come from the foreign rulers, yes, but they refer to the people as that as well. I could show you Kemetic sources on that.
Well, I'm at to find that.
But well, then look at the letters between
the Nubians.
No.
Yeah, they wrote a little. They read a.
Yeah, but I'm not going to even talk about that. I want you to have a Kemetic source. Look at the things that are written during the 17th dynasty and going into the 18th dynasty. Okay. How do they refer to them?
They say some people from an obscure race.
They don't say that.
They do.
They say some people from obscure race?
Obscure origins or something like that, yeah.
They don't say that, no.
From the region or beyond, I swear they do, yo.
They say from the region beyond, but they don't say from obscure origins.
Not race. I think that obscure place, something like that.
But the Kemetic people tell us where they chased them. They chased them to their homeland.
No,
the Kemetic people tell us that.
Yeah, but I told you also, the frescoes on the island of Minoan, the Minoan Islands.
There are Minoan frescoes, but I think
I'm saying Minoan frescoes with those foreign chieftain pictures. Yes. Remember I told you that?
They're there.
Okay, all right.
I'm just saying I think you have the time frame wrong.
And I don't. And I'm saying that's where they chased them too.
All right.
That's where they ended up at. How about that?
I don't think that's where they ended up.
We'll refresh that. So
yeah,
we got a good place we can end that.
Okay.
All right.
We'll do that. That's not a
we can refresh on that.
A difficult thing to do.
All
but
right.
I think that the Hebrew people took a bunch of stories from the region and mixed them together to identify their origins. Yeah, most of it is myth. I mean, before Hezekiah, most of the people they talk about before Hezekiah, we should know are fictional people. Or I shouldn't say fictional because that's insulting.
Mythological people. Yeah.
Right.
People don't know the difference between fiction.
That's why I regret saying fictional. That's unfortunate.
Don't say that.
Mythological.
It's not fiction. You know what I'm saying? It's mythological.
It's mythological.
Folklore.
Right.
Yep.
Right. Mm-hmm. Fiction is something that's told. We know the story ain't true. It's just for fun. That's not what they were doing.
Yeah, you said something that was kind of. There's a memory of. I would say that the Hebrews come out of that contention of those different types of tribes, those Asiatic tribes that was moving back and forth in those regions, right? Canaanites, you got Canaanites, and out of the Canaanites, you will later on get the Israelites. That's what I say.
That's true too.
Yeah.
But so I wouldn't disagree with that. I'm just saying that it's all of those things. Because remember, the Hebrews are not one group of people.
No, it's not.
They took a bunch of stories and went, pow! You know what I mean? That's what they did.
So Western Asia, some from Kemet. Can we agree?
Wait, you didn't say a full sentence. I don't
Western
know if I'm
Asia,
agree
I said, no, I'm talking about, you said they brought a lot of stories together, and I'm finishing it with, some from Western Asia.
You're saying the stories are some of them from Western Asia.
Because they talk about Chaldee, Abraham from Chaldees. That's in that area,
Sure.
Stories from Kemet, and they put them together. And I say they wrote themselves into history. Because you got it.
I agree.
You got it, the superpower.
No disagreement.
During that time.
No disagreement.
So if you're going to be real.
No disagreement. But you know what I would say?
You got to write yourself in history.
But this is the part that I would say about Christianity that's important. And this is the reason why I came up with that model. Life was complex for me over the last 2 years, so I didn't even get to finish the book, and it will get finished. But I came with the model, right?
Okay.
A model that says the most important aspects of Christianity we see an origin to. There are many stories in Christianity that, if they weren't in the book, they would not change Christianity, right?
You're talking about in the biblical text?
Yes. They wouldn't change Christianity. I'm not saying that they're unimportant. I'm just saying they
Yeah,
on the list of importance.
It's a separate religion. It
On the
breaks
list
away.
of importance, there's some things that are
Okay.
smaller, right?
Okay.
If Jesus did not, in the biblical narrative, create feed the multitudes with a few fish.
Yeah, that wouldn't matter. That wouldn't kill it.
I mean, I'm not saying it's an unimportant story, but I'm saying it wouldn't change.
That's part of the miracle to
Christianity.
try to say who he was.
Right.
He had this power.
But there's certain aspects of Christianity that are absolutely
Like what?
fundamental.
Like, give it
the
to me.
concept that you have this a holy person who was without fault, that is leading a group of people, is murdered and resurrects, and that resurrection allows the rest of us to have access to an afterlife. That is a fundamental part of Christianity.
I might agree with you.
If that didn't exist, Christianity wouldn't exist. There'd be something else.
Right. So, okay.
And we
so-
see that in Kemet.
Okay, but let me ask you this. So are you saying that the foreigners that was in Egypt, that controlled Egypt, Ptolemy, Ptolemies, am I saying it right?
Usually people say
Ptolemies.
Ptolemies.
Ptolemies?
They don't usually pronounce the P.
Okay, Ptolemies. Okay, can we say that during these time periods, these aren't indigenous Africans rulers? Of course not. That's Greek dynasty. That's why they call it.
Yeah, most of the rulers aren't
Right.
If they are indigenous, it's because they're mixed indigenous. But I think that their identity.
But my point is, I don't think that the Greeks really understood the sacraments and the sacrifices and the traditions like that. And so this is the time period where Christianity starts. What 0, right? 1, the 2, right? So I'm saying to me, like, yeah, but that's not the indigenous. So Christianity doesn't even come out of an indigenous African environment. That's the part I like to say.
But I don't know. But I wouldn't disagree with that. But
Okay.
I would say, I mean, there's no way to disagree with this. It's a factual.
Okay.
It's based on math, right? So there's no way to disagree
Chronology,
with
right?
what you said. Yeah.
Okay.
But I would say that doesn't change the fact that so much of the Kemetic tradition was still in use. Was it partially malformed because of the Greek? Sure, but the major through lines were there. And by the way, we see
like
the
Soter,
early
it was called
Christian
Soters.
churches.
The pharaohs were called the Soters, the saviors.
Yeah.
Soters.
Yeah. But I think it's also interesting that you actually see these early Christian churches in the temples, in the Kemetic temples, and they're literally destroying it. Literally.
Yeah, they wiped that out.
Why?
Yeah, they just scratched out because they felt like they trying to convert the whole thing over.
But how do you see that, and then you see them take things that are very clearly Kemetic and put it into their tradition? So many of them. And you know, the other thing is, one of the things that Garfield used to say all the time, and I tried to explain it to him, but I don't think he was listening either.
You gonna bring Garfield?
I don't think that most of the Christian patriarchs, I don't know if any of them read the Kemetic language. Probably not. But they didn't need to. Okay. It's not like you have to read the text to understand what's happening.
They got the
because most Kemetic people didn't understand, couldn't read. It was like 5% of the nation was literate. So you don't need to read it in order to understand it. What happened is they had these grand dramas that they would produce. Okay. And that's how you understood the narratives. And that's how everyone
the Rosetta Stone, so we need to understand
later. But yeah, the Greeks.
You get it? The Greeks say that. They understand. So let me ask you this. Let's shift gears a little bit.
Okay.
I'm fighting it.
Fighting what?
I'm fighting pre-colonial Christianity in West Africa. I don't agree with that. Pre-colonial.
What are you saying? You're saying that it doesn't exist?
Yeah, I don't think. I don't think that there's a pre-colonial Christianity in West Africa proper. I don't think that's true. I think Islam predate that there. I think a lot of the sources and evidence is very scanty. Big up to the barbarians, though. So I was going to say that. Big up to the barbarians. That's a group. It's a Facebook group.
Oh, I don't know.
Big up to them. You don't know. Big up to them. And there's some Christians that's starting a little scam.
Are they trying to say that?
Yes, they are. So we need to get on that case. So listen, I'm on that case. You get on that case. I think they overwhooping. Matter of fact, I know they overwhooping.
You know the worst thing about this whole thing?
What's that? Why they got to do that?
If they were really trying to blackwash Christianity, why don't they just go? And I challenge like Vince Bantu about this, right?
Yeah.
I mean, he says that. He's talking about a tradition that comes from Ethiopia, right? Yeah, but then when they sit in church, they read in the King James Bible.
Makes no sense.
They're not reading the Keber Nagas.
Right. They should have that.
Right. I mean, so the tradition you're describing, what you're trying to do is take the Christian tradition and rewrap it while keeping the whole thing that these Europeans gave you. And that's problematic. So if you really wanted to look at Christianity that really had a greater a greater African presence, why aren't they going to really full form into the Ethiopian tradition? Or why don't they even look at, do you know Vita Kimpa?
No.
She's from the Congo.
Okay.
And she rendered Christianity in her whole different manner. And this is during the time that colonialism is in its nascent stage. But she takes Christianity away and says it's not European, that all of this story happened here in the Congo. Why aren't they doing that? Why aren't they going to like the Holy Pibby? You know, a book that is based on Christianity, but written by black people. Well, if they really are trying to make the argument that this is a black thing, why won't they even look at the black books or the black traditions?
I don't know. They're trying to justify their Christianity in America.
In a real disingenuous way.
Yeah. See, and for me, once I understand the basic story and basic chronology and how colonialism used Christianity as a tool, you know, they draw the demarcation line, and Portuguese and Spain get one half. And once you understand the, what's the word? Pope Alexander VI, the Papist Bulls. Okay, 1493, right? Yep. Okay, where they say several Papal Bulls, right? And they say wherever you find a monarch that's not a Christian, you can enslave the inhabitants and bring them to Christ, bring the lonely souls to Christ, right? That's the banner that Africans that later on became African Americans got enslaved. We know about 4% of the slave population came to America, and they bred the rest of them, right? We know this is not no stage show, so. They never should try to justify that. You should just say, well, you know, that's just my belief, right? But don't justify that, bro. Christianity was an enslaving tool. There's no doubt about it. It was during colonial periods. And I'm going to finish with this, Jabari, and let you close out on this, right? I'm saying that the Torah and Christianity is an ancestral shrine of people from Asia, okay? It connects their ancestors back to the great ancestors, Adam and Eve, right? And they trace their lineage back to the great God in the sky. Okay? So actually, when you start accepting other religions, you're accepting their ancestry. They follow through back to their history, right? So they're actually taking African Americans on a wild history that ends up at zero for them. We come from Africa, bro. And once we learn our custom and traditions, it'll take you back to Africa. So I just want to end on that.
I don't think that there's anything that you said, not even a syllable, that I disagree with. I honestly believe that we're in a really bizarre place.
We're in a bizarre place, bro. Because
we have intelligent people doing ignorant things, and I think they're doing it. It's almost when I say disingenuous, I really mean it. You know,
oh man.
You know, when I debated Vince Bantu, he actually said some things that were anachronistic, and I called him on it, and he was nodding. Anyway. He was nodding. And I said, look, he's nodding, and he stopped nodding. Because the reality is he would like to make it sound like the Ethiopian tradition. Well, he's just saying that because he was upset with me.
Yeah,
I don't think he really looked at the whole thing.
I was mad.
But the reality is that.
But I'm over that though.
And you know, the reality is it's unfortunate that he was mad. I understand why he was mad. I understand why you were mad.
Right. Okay.
I understand why you were mad. I don't think that y'all understood the position I was in. That was the challenge.
I kind of understood it.
You know, and that was the problem.
I kind of.
You know, we were going to do something, and then it fell apart, and I had already made a commitment, and I thought that I gave somebody my word, right? Mm-hmm. And I thought that if I just said, I'm not doing it, I would not have been doing something honorable.
Okay.
You know, anyway, that's
you had that. I don't want to rehash that.
No, we don't have to. But I want you to hear. That's the big brushstroke. That's the big brushstroke, though. Is that it didn't end up being